Sick of the same old radio sound? Then you need Vibrant Radio. Spice up your life. Spice FM.
Hello, Rosaria.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Hi, Malcolm.
Hello, Doc Rosario. Nice to see you again.
And hi, Glenn.
Hello there.
Hi. We started a bit late because we are preparing for World Peace Day. So, Rosaria, on with you. Tell us, what is the World Peace Day about?
World Peace Day is about finding peace within ourselves and the world at large. So to find peace and create world peace, it means finding peace within yourself.
Okay.
So we're bringing together on Monday the 21st of September some very amazing people who can share their skills and their ideas with us.
So, what's the lineup up till now?
We have Christian Kyriakou, who is also known as the House Whisperer, who's going to be on today's program in a few moments.
And he's into what do you call Chinese feng shui. He understands inside out.
It's called Beyond Feng Shui.
Yeah. And before that, in India, we had Vastu Shastra. Of course, everyone forgets to mention India, but I say that again and again because a lot of people take Indian numerals as Arab numerals. Let me get all this clear. All this thing had been happening in India, not just because I'm from India, but please don't distort history. So these two things are there, but he treats the house in a psychotherapeutic way.
Yes.
It treats the house like a living entity.
Yes.
And that's the thing we'll be asking about. And he's a proper architect.
He's an architect,
well,
yes.
The reason I like him is I'm also a proper doctor, but I believe in complementary therapies.
Yeah.
Because once you learn something proper, everything else becomes rubbish. Mm-hmm. Isn't that true? If you learn architecture in one way, then the rest is nonsense. If you learn one religion, you have to oppose the others. That's how humans are, unfortunately. If you're a lawyer, you forget that the other side may also have a point. You know, the point I'm making is the more intellectually sharp we get, the more inimical we become, something that's slightly different. But he's not. That's the point I'm making.
Thank you.
Okay, your volume is very low and we're not connected him to the thing.
Is this sound level better?
How is that? Is that better?
Yes, that's much better.
Yeah, I've actually switched off the listening to the program, so we've just got a Skype connection only.
Good.
You are very technically competent, sir.
And it's a very clear picture, so this is good.
Excellent.
Yes. So, Christian, I was really thrilled that you can come on today because we were talking about our World Peace Day event on the 21st of September.
Yeah.
And it feels that the way you work with the home and people's places of living is really crucial for that. But I'm not clear how you work with that. Could you give us a little insight into what you do? Because you're called the House Whisperer.
Yeah.
So can you tell us more what that means?
Well, this lifetime.
You've gone mute.
I've gone mute.
Sorry, we've lost sound.
Okay, I am speaking, and I can hear you.
It only come in the headphones.
All right.
Yeah, I can hear you, Rosaria.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Excellent. To answer your question, yes, this lifetime has been quite a journey, but where it's led me through my various studies and experiences with spirituality, philosophy, particularly sacred geometry, and so on, is really in the understanding of the emotions of buildings, the consciousness of buildings, which we all live in some form or other. And when we talk about health, which I've been listening to Dr. Anand talking about a little,
Yes.
and fascinating his views from a doctor's point of view, absolutely wonderful, love it. And I'm a little bit like that as well with architecture. I'm the first to slam architecture and architects when they ignore the absolutely fundamental aspects of what creates good buildings, thus creates good health.
Great.
And it's architects who create illness, and it's the doctors that have to fix it. Yeah?
Now this is very interesting. So Anand has missed out on this.
Hello, I've missed some of your stuff. Hello, very good afternoon to you.
Hi, Doc.
Hi.
What I was just saying is that I don't have a great respect for the architectural profession. Like I think you don't.
I have no respect for the doctors. The Western medical profession is all about pushing tablets.
But
Yes.
I'm saying that it's the responsibility of architects to understand the land, the energy of the land, the energy of a building, the consciousness, the psychology of people, and actually build healthy houses.
Wow.
And so my statement is that architects create the illnesses and doctors have to fix them.
Yeah, that was what I wanted you to hear. Yes.
But it's true, you know, a house.
If us architects,
Yes.
you'd be out of a job, right, Doc?
Well, if we doctors didn't have people ill, we wouldn't be getting paid our fat salaries. It's like Quick Fit wanting tires that don't burst, you know. We love the illnesses. We absolutely glorify them. I think cancer is one such example. Most of the cancer industry is about killing people with chemotherapy.
Yeah. And, you know, the thing is, I've worked with a lot of cancer patients, and I've seen some miraculous recoveries, as I'm sure you have.
And that's through healing the home.
It's through healing the relationship we have with our home. Our home is not the problem in itself, because the home is a metaphor of our inner home.
Yeah.
So our inner psychology is expressed outwardly. Now we can say, well, why did you go and live in a particular home that has potential cancer or other, illness potentials? And the thing is, what happens is that we have that propensity inside us for a particular illness, and we radiate that desire out there, and through the law of attraction, the consciousness of a property that matches our pattern comes and finds us. So we think we find a house. It's the other way round.
The house finds the right person.
The house finds the right
Or right
person.
family.
The right family, absolutely. Although in my experience, Doc, it's usually just one person of a couple or of a family that is attracted to the house that has the resonance. And that's what I identify when I go to work with people. And I work specifically with them because they hold the karmic link, the karmic story as to why they were drawn there. And it could be to heal themselves, to heal their family, the street, the village, the town, whatever. But my work is to identify all these multiple layers, and it's not just simply, one thing. And in identifying that, I inevitably see the match between a person's illness and the house they're living in.
You spoke earlier about the emotions of the house. So can you go into that a little more about how you recognize the emotions in the house?
As I would with a person. You meet with a person and you have a feeling, you're either attracted, repelled, you fall in love, you hate them, whatever, everything you can think of. The house is a living, conscious being. Always has been. And you touched on Feng Shui and Vastu, and actually I studied Vastu, Doc, before Feng Shui, and it is a much, much more, and all the people in the Feng Shui world don't like me saying this, but it's far more integrous and genuine. And I studied the Vedic scriptures for 25 years.
Wow, you're a better man than I'm, Gangadeen.
we all do what we do. But, I was introduced to Sanskrit and sacred sound, sacred geometry, and meditation. 1971 was that kind of 25-year period.
I think we're going to have a whole program on the Indian aspect of this.
Yeah, but or your life's journey, how you have reached the point you have.
Well, I remember. Well, the funny thing is that I teach people and get them to actually realize where their true home is and how to find it. Now, of course, I was displaced from home when I was 2.5 when I came from Cyprus to London with my parents. And so that seed inside me of losing home.
Even at that age of 2.5.
Yeah, at 2.5. And so I remember that feeling, and I remember the first house we lived in, or room, one room within a house in North London, and just off the Holloway Road. And I remember the feeling of the emotion of the building, the fear actually, because of the energy in the space, the paranormal energy. I didn't understand what it was, I just understood fear. But what stuck with me was that link with the emotions of buildings. So that went on for a while, and my next recollections were being totally abandoned by my parents and being in care homes for 1.5 years.
My God.
And it wasn't until I was 50 years old that I actually found out why, and it was to do with my mother trying to commit suicide. So that was another.
So you had a pretty uncomfortable start.
Yes, and I've come to work with a lot of that psychotherapeutically, and understand that we choose these journeys, and we choose our parents. Sometimes we wonder.
Well, I am as an Indian say, if you want asthma, choose 2 parents with asthma. I actually believe that, though most people, Western doctors will laugh at me and carry on pushing salbutamol and not do the Buteyko method of breathing and so on,
Sure.
So really you've met a lot of pain, but instead of hiding it or hiding behind it, you've embraced it like mindfulness, and you're helping other people come out of their pains.
Absolutely. And to continue that, when I was 8, I was introduced to music, so I started to learn the piano, and then composing came very naturally through me. I do a lot of composition, a lot of playing. When I got to about the age of 12, for some reason I had the urge to start a correspondence in psychology course. And also joined the Rosicrucians.
I know about Rosicrucians.
At age 12?
At 12, because there was something in me that just knew there was something much bigger to the picture. My parents came from villages in Cyprus. They were, warm-hearted, good people, hard-working. But I wasn't being fed with the cultural knowledge which was inside me, and I needed to go out and find it. So, and of course, the later years, I kind of remembered lots of previous or parallel lifetimes, you would call it, of where I'd been before and how I'd worked in ancient Greece and in the Gothic cathedrals. And of course, one of my main connections with the knowledge is Plato and the Platonic system of the 7 liberal arts, which was also used and taught in the cathedral schools, particularly at Sharp Cathedral, which is, one of the most amazing buildings on earth. So all this came together, and then I got drawn into, believe it or not, the Indian restaurant scene.
For designing them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because my father, when he came over, he was a carpenter, and all he did was build Indian restaurants.
Right.
And when he started his own business, of course, as a kid, I'd get dragged off at 5 in the morning to building sites. But I really loved it. And of course, I learned all the building trades, particularly shoveling. I don't think I'll probably say that word on radio, but but it was fantastic training. But also what it did, crawling through derelict buildings in roof spaces, I remember now the feeling of the emotion of the building, the consciousness of the building, and how it became a language for me in understanding the interaction, the relationship.
Can I just interrupt there? Anthony Thorley, a well-known psychiatrist and drug therapy, nationally known person, lived near my home and surgery in Gosford. He took me to Durham Cathedral and made me walk through the 7 chakras of the cathedral.
Wonderful.
My feet were itching, and at the crisscross of Jesus's heart, where the intersection is, the transept, I felt pain in my own personal heart. So, he's an Englishman, a committed Christian, and yet he understands the chakras. And he says, when these guys built the cathedrals, they knew all this. But
Absolutely.
modern Christianity, modern Hinduism, modern Islam deletes all that. They had this knowledge, as I'm sure you'll agree.
And that knowledge is still there and used by many people. I will use it in architecture wherever I can when I'm called to, and they want a little bit more of the esoteric, into the building. And it's absolutely crucial, because when we look at architecture, what is its purpose? And in a way, it's no different to sacred music, sacred literature, sacred art. Sacred architecture is about showing us who we truly are.
I'd like to ask, as you say that, because listeners will be able to see this on the video recording, but behind you, I'm very intrigued, because on one side you have what appears to be a panther.
A black one.
A black panther.
My Black Panther, he's my power animal, yes.
And you can feel that strength.
In his eyes.
Yes.
With his constricted pupils.
But it actually feels like a very gentle panther. It reminds me of a panther called Spirit. That
Oh, yes.
yes.
Yeah.
That I read about a transformational journey of a panther. But you also have this incredible piece of artwork, which could you describe it to us, please?
This?
Yes.
That's actually...
It's a real instrument.
An instrument. It's a Chinese instrument, a Chinese zither.
It's a Chinese zither.
Yeah, and in fact, if I turn my camera around, I've probably...
I must congratulate you on the quality of your filming. In the studio, there was a radio chap, not as adept as I am, and he was hawing and humming, and he was so confident and handling all the cameras. I really admired you from that. You sent me a link, didn't you?
Yes.
Of him being interviewed in a studio. And you were confident, and your quality of filming was so good. I was impressed,
Well, I actually used 3 cameras. I set 3 cameras up for that, which I regretted afterwards because it was a lot of editing. But I love filming, like I love music and composing music. For me, vision and sound go together.
Yes.
And in the Sanskrit, we have the phrase namarupa,
name
and form. And form and sound are the same thing to me.
Well, E equals MC square, so energy and mass are the same, aren't they?
Yeah. So when you look at a landscape, it sings to you. And the Aboriginals in Australia, the songs of the earth, the song lines. And so to me, a building architecture is about what we were saying about it is showing us who we truly are, or that I believe is what the purpose is. And so if we build into a building, first of all, to put it on the right piece of land, and do we ask the land for its permission to build on in the first place?
No, you go to the civic center, ask for planning permission.
Well, and often it's interesting you raise that, Doc, because when there is problem with planning permission, it is usually the elementals of the land saying, "Hey guys, you didn't ask us. We're going to create a problem."
Exactly.
Amazing.
I see this happening in Ireland at the moment. There's a company who are planning to build and create 150 jobs, but they're building on what is said to be an ancient fairy fort. And one of the Irish storytellers is saying, please, we welcome you building here, but not on this site.
And nearer home, the new Gurdwara was asked by the civic center to be built on a burial ground. And they said, no, there are people there. You can use a car park. We're happy to park our cars on the chest of these poor people who are dead now, but the Gurdwara will build on the other side. Really, this is exactly what happened.
Right.
So the car park is actually over some 16 tons on a dead man's chest.
All
Yo
right.
ho ho and a bottle of rum. It is like that.
So
The thing is, there is an appropriate place to build. And with a graveyard, it's on very yin energy. So we're not talking about feminine or masculine. I know you touched on that earlier. And I love that. And I'm sure we might get back to that.
Yes.
Because masculine and feminine is so crucial in understanding the land, which is ultimately Mother Earth and feminine, but has its masculine aspects, of course. But with a building, you have to have the balance of masculine and feminine. And if we go back to something like Chartres Cathedral, any sacred building will have a total balance of masculine, feminine. in its sacred geometry, in its positioning on the energy lines of the earth, and the crossing of
the ley lines and all that.
Yeah. And where ley lines cross, you get very powerful energies. And that's where we build our energy centers, stone circles, temples, cathedrals, and so on. You don't live on them because the energy is too high. So when people live in a converted church, you're asking for trouble.
Oh my God!
That's very
it will
interesting.
actually.
Oh my God! Right. What do you think of the Sage and the Onion? What do you call that? The Baltic. You must have seen the two buildings. What's your gut feeling? Have you been there?
Which one?
In Newcastle, the Sage building and the
concert hall.
Oh, I haven't actually been there yet.
I would like your opinion when you've been sometime.
You mean
Sure,
Jet Set?
absolutely. The thing is with many buildings, of course they've got their function and what they're designed for, but with a little bit of knowledge, and it doesn't need a lot, you can actually create a fantastic balance, clear of geopathic stress, destructive materials, of course the electro-smog, which we need electricity and Wi-Fi, etc.
The underground trains, high-tension cables.
Everything,
all that sort of,
all this put in the right place and dealt with in the right way can work. And I spend most of my time in working consultations for people at home, often with health problems. And the combination of all these, actually what it does is fragment our energy fields. And it doesn't matter how much healing a person goes out and has, when they come back home, the program, the kind of the DNA of the building that is running 24/7 will actually pull you back. So you can go out, get 90% healing, you come back, you're pulled 85% back, because the house is running a program of, you're sick, you've got cancer. Yeah?
So is it...
You cannot heal or work healing a person without addressing their environment.
So would you say it's easier to actually work on the environment, or for the person to move from the environment?
Oh, wow. No, never.
Right.
Thank you. I have never and I've just this last weekend in Vienna working, topped up 1,200 consultations in the last 20 years.
Wow.
So in all that time, I have never asked anybody to move home.
So the building is correctable. Healable.
Correctable. But you see, no building is actually wrong. There's no wrong or right to this. What a building does is mirror our inner soul. It's a mirror of our soul. So we're on a karmic journey, a soul journey. And when I work with people, most of them are open. It's probably why they contact me in the first place. They're open to looking at, what's your soul journey? Why are you here? And if you're not on track, the universe is going to give you a whack and take you out, make you sick, get you to find a house that actually is reflecting your, your attitude to life. You're not being prepared to look at your inner stuff, your shadow, which is really where we learn most from, and our greatest desires in life are actually buried in the shadow, So we're into the Jung psychotherapy stuff here, but
the shadow side and the dark side of the moon.
And the dark side of the moon, absolutely, yeah. Pink Floyd got it right, I tell you.
And so how do you reconcile that with the law of attraction, on focusing on what is working in your life?
Absolutely. Well, the house will reflect that. And so we never actually have a wrong house. Now, people talk about space clearing. And I think my next book will be The Dangers of Space Clearing. Because if somebody goes in and clears the space, what have you done? You've actually destroyed all the evidence that when I go into a house, I'm reading and saying, okay, this is what's going on in your life. If I don't tell people, I get them to see it. Because there's much more value in getting them to what I call the aha moment, their moment of realization. And that is the first point that they can decide if they want to make the transformation in life. But the house is showing them exactly where they are at. And in philosophy, there's a phrase that whatever in front of you is your teacher. And so it's no different to a house, because even more so with a house, because we've created it, we've been attracted to it, and it is actually the key to showing us back to 100% health if we listen to it.
It's true about friends as well. The people I see are different reflections of me. Even the worst person is a perfect reflection of me.
Yeah.
And moving away is one solution, but then you haven't changed anything.
No, but the thing is, it's not a solution, Doc, because if you move away, now this is if the house will let you go. Haven't completed your karmic contract and let a house go, it actually, you know, the phrase I often hear is, I feel like I'm being held prisoner in my home. Because the house, why should the house let you go if you haven't fulfilled your soul contract of why you were attracted? Now, if you do manage to escape for whatever reason, guess what? You're going to find a house with exactly
the same issues.
Yeah.
It's like people divorcing and marrying and divorcing and marrying. Elizabeth Taylor found the same husband each time.
Yeah,
it's a bit like that. There's another point I wanted to raise with you, that the relationship we have with our own bodies is exactly what you're talking about.
Yes.
Because I'm also a house, housing a soul, a spirit. And how I relate to this physical body, if I'm uncomfortable with my nose or my toes, or like Michael Jackson getting this done and that done, he's solving the wrong problem, isn't he?
Absolutely. And the thing is, this is where we have, you know, really valuable systems like Vastu and Feng Shui, because they externalize a pattern, the 9 areas of life in Feng Shui, which relates to different parts of our inner body. But also, there are specific areas that will, if we ignore them, so let's just call it, in a house, we often have a room that people trash. I call it the locked room syndrome. Somewhere where we don't want to deal with that dark side of our...
Yes, hide everything away, Yeah,
hide it away. But what happens is, there will be a correlation in the physical body that will get sick.
Right, hide everything away, part of your body.
Yeah, of course.
Your trash can.
Your trash can, that's it, yeah, the trash can. And if that energy in that room is blocked, that part of the body is blocked, and so your chakras are not going to spin full health and pull the energy in. And, you know, as we know, chakras are basically transformers of cosmic energy. And if we block them or don't allow them to spin fully, then that part of the body is going to get sick. And my work with houses is to identify all this, the correlation with a person, and usually an average consult is a very full day, and you're working both at the same time, identifying what's going on in the person, the correlation with the house, and you're releasing it bit by bit by bit, and until both are totally and utterly free, and then you charge up the energy of the house so that it's now ready, full of potential, so you can just get on with life. And it comes back to this, are we healers? I say, no, we can't heal anyone. We can remove the damage, the psychological damage, the environmental damage, and let people then get on with their own journey. And the speed that happens, and the cures that I've seen happen with this work, and I'm sure Sandy will talk about it, because as you said earlier, we've worked together with the House Whispering for the last 10 years, and I've been like this for the last 20. So what we've developed together is quite extraordinary. And we've seen what people would call miracles in people's healing that, you know, don't need, that astound the medical profession, because it's like, oh, well, where's that tumour gone, or where's that illness gone? It was there last week, but it's not on the scan this week. I won't put my hand up and say I've healed it. No. But I've taken away.
You've taken the blocks away, and you've taken the
blocks away, and allowed that cosmic.
But the person has to have a reason to get better. Often people enjoy their illness.
Yeah, there's a vested
people have a reason, have vested interest. Glenn has been wanting to say something for a very long time. Glenn, did you want to say something?
Yes, I mean, I go along with practically everything you've been saying. Because it's all related to the very first principle that everything in creation is movement. Nothing else but movement. And we perceive it through our physical body and through our spirit. But the essence of creation is movement, and wherever there is a blockage of movement, that is where the problems lie.
Yeah,
and we bring it about ourselves through our attitudes, through our concepts. And as soon as we alter the concepts that we have about creation and how it works, that is when the earth will be healed properly.
So I talked about the, sorry, once again, I talked about the body, you talked about the house, and Glenn is talking about Mother Earth. It's extensions of the same thing, really, isn't it?
It's all related to movement.
It's a bigger.
If we don't move in the right way, then we fall ill. And the same with everything in creation. It happens that if you have, it's just like I've said before, it's like a current of water, a stream, and if the current of water falls into a little byway and forms an eddy, it goes stagnant
and rots and
rots and goes stale. It's exactly the same principle.
I've been to places to work where the whole street, they've all got cancer, and they're actually called cancer houses. They're well known, and somebody else moves in, they're going to go down that route. And as we said earlier on, if a house has got a history of illness or bankruptcy or divorce, you can guarantee whoever moves in there will go that same way. But it's not because we're victims. We're not victims. We have chosen the house with that pattern. It may, of course, be at a subconscious level that we've done that. Maybe it's we want to get out of a marriage or out of a business or out of life. Because I've dealt with a lot of people and suicides as well, and some stories are pretty harrowing. There are quite a few in the book, but some haven't been printed yet. But I'm working on it and making a lot of films and video clips that are going up on my website and YouTube about this, and getting what is happening. Certainly for me, is the stories are getting more and more complex, and psychotherapeutically the solutions are there, but it is drawing me into studying my own shadow, my own psychotherapy, which I have to. And I actually embarked on a postgrad diploma in psychotherapy because I actually wanted to have a certificate, so that people can, because I've been doing this for years, but I didn't want to be challenged. So that was a bit of my own fear. I don't want to be challenged, and I haven't got the qualification. And I thought, well, this is crazy. But what it drew me into is studying Jung and Freud, and which I've never actually read before, interestingly enough, and yet realizing that's what I've been doing for the last 20 years. But also, it's made me look at things in myself and go deeper into my own stuff, which I have to, because the way the universe works is beautiful. You get a consultation, a call for a consultation, and the issue is something that sometimes you've only just dealt with in your own life.
So you get an example of your own thing projected onto the screen by somebody else. And you, inside it's your own story, actually.
Oh, well, it is, but you see, this is why certain people will be attracted to me as opposed to another consultant, because they know that they can feel that I've had that problem. Some months ago, Sandy and I went to work with a couple where their 2-year-old daughter had died. I know I can talk about this because she wants me to make a film about it. Because she wants to help other people in that same situation. And there was part of her that recognized in me that our second child, a son, died soon after birth. So I was carrying that pain, and so there's still a bit of that there that I still need to deal with.
Well, let me tell you, because my listeners know anyway, that in 1934, Dr. Lan Kopelowitz, my partner's father, built the surgery, Moses Kopelowitz. He went nuts in the end because he was visiting people at 3 a.m. asking them how they were. But that was competition, but it wasn't. A doctor called Neil Purvis committed suicide while working in the practice. My first wife, who already had some elements of psychological disturbance, left the house 13 times within our marriage to run off to India. So that resonates with Moses Kopelowitz in 1934.
Yeah.
and my youngest son committed suicide from that house, not in the house, but from that house, just like Neil Purvis. So there is a resonance. There has to be something connecting in one simple house.
Absolutely, and we run these patterns, and we're attracted to the patterns. And you know, it's not just in a property; it's in what I call the etheric matrix of space, because that's where the programs are held. Because you can demolish a house, but unless you zero out the energy matrix, the memory matrix of the space, the atmosphere, that will still be there.
Have you been to Ground Zero in America?
Oh, probably best not draw me into.
Okay.
Well, I'm hoping we can take a lighter note, because one thing I'm curious about is yesterday you had a dilemma, and you posted a question on Facebook with a picture of a Porsche Boxster car and said, "I've been offered this in as a fee rather than my fee. Which shall I take, my fee or the Porsche?"
What does your gut tell you?
So I'm curious to know what your response has been.
It really wasn't a question. I knew the answer.
Yes.
I actually took the fee because I didn't like the colour of the car.
I love that.
No, I have another colour and another design of Porsche in mind. I just love the beauty of them. But,
Yes.
so it wasn't really a dilemma. I do have dilemmas, of course, but
But these are minor teasers you put on Facebook.
Yeah.
You tease people by putting these
But
things.
I just thought it was fun that your client had made that offer. Yeah.
well, it has happened before, but it's kind of become a little bit of a running joke with Porsches and me. But it's happened in the past. So, but yeah, on a lighter note. Okay.
And we're going to be bringing Sandy in a moment or two.
Yes,
So
yes.
I was wondering if you had anything you would like to round off with. Yeah.
Yes. Well, yeah. I think the message is really to really look in the spaces where we do live, and know that we are totally connected to everything and everyone in the universe, and we are part of a bigger picture. And you know, the more we can understand our own inner house and how it's reflected to where we live, I think the more we can actually be who we truly are, be on our soul journey, and we're here for service, and then we can serve others in a much better way. So that's probably how I'd like to wrap it up.
Okay, well, we'd like to say thank you in the traditional way. Thank you for being so patient.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon again.
Namaste.
Okay, cheers. Because once you learn something proper, everything else becomes rubbish. Isn't that true? If you learn architecture in one way, then the rest is nonsense. If you learn one religion, you have to oppose the others. That's how humans are, unfortunately. If you're a lawyer, you forget that the other side may also have a point. You know, the point I'm making is, the more intellectually sharp we get, the more inimical we become, something that's slightly different. But he's not. That's the point I'm making.
Thank you.
Okay, your volume is very low and we're not connected him to the thing.
Is this sound level better?
How is that? Is that better?
Yes, that's much better.
Yeah, I've actually switched off the listening to the program, so we've just got a Skype connection only.
Good.
You are very
Good.
Sick of the same old radio sound? Then you need Vibrant Radio. Spice up your life. Spice FM.
Hello, Rizaria.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Hi, Malcolm.
Hello, Doc Rosario. Nice to see you again.
And hi, Glenn.
Hello there.
Hi. We started a bit late because we are preparing for World Peace Day. So, Rizaria, on with you. Tell us, what is the World Peace Day about?
World Peace Day is about finding peace within ourselves and the world at large. So to find peace and create world peace, it means finding peace within yourself.
Okay.
So we're bringing together on Monday the 21st of September some very amazing people who can share their skills and their ideas with us.
So what's the lineup up till now?
We have Christian Kyriakou, who is also known as the House Whisperer, who's going to be on today's program in a few moments.
And he's into what do you call Chinese feng shui. He understands inside out.
It's called Beyond Feng Shui.
Yeah. And before that in India, we had Vastu Shastra. Of course, everyone forgets to mention India, but I say that again and again because a lot of people take Indian numerals as Arab numerals. Let me get all this clear. All this thing had been happening in India, not just because I'm from India, but please don't distort history. So these two things are there, but he treats the house in a psychotherapeutic way.
Yes.
He treats the house like a living entity.
Yes.
And that's the thing we'll be asking about. And he's a proper architect.
He's an architect,
Well,
yes.
the reason I like him is I'm also a proper doctor, but I believe in complementary therapies. Yeah. Technical competence.
And it's a very clear picture, this. So this is good.
Excellent.
Yes. So, Christian, I was really thrilled that you can come on today because we were talking about our World Peace Day event on the 21st of September.
Yeah.
And it feels that the way you work with the home and people's places of living is really crucial for that. But I'm not clear how you work with that. Could you give us a little insight into what you do? Because you're called the House Whisperer.
Yeah.
So can you tell us more what that means?
Well, this lifetime.
You've gone mute.
I've gone mute.
Sorry, we've lost sound.
Okay, I am speaking, and I can hear you.
It only come in the headphones.
All right.
Yeah, I can hear you, Rosaria.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Excellent. To answer your question, yes, this lifetime has been quite a journey. But where it's led me through my various studies and experiences with spirituality, philosophy, particularly sacred geometry, and so on, is really in the understanding